They did not see she's out yet. Plastic. Yeah, but it was leaking on the other side of the street. Right. So they have big hole filled in their yard. It's quite a project.
Oh, a lot going on.
That's what happened at my age. Plastic at age. Quite literally so.
That thing's always about a minute fast.
Always a little bit fast.
Get you ready.
Oh, really?
Starting Friday. It was like, they're never gonna pay me.
It's a similar criminal.
3 weeks, they said. I'm like, oh, great, we're doing taxing.
Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice.
Pledge is even a little more meaningful given today's date. So thank you all for participating. On to agenda, I would ask the board if we can make a couple of changes to the agenda this evening. Number 16, town hall door staining. Had a little miscommunication. That one should it should have been a library stone veneer repair. And I talked to Mr. Reeve around 5 o'clock today. And there's anybody wants any agendas, there's some out on the table outside the door. There should be plenty there. So help yourselves. Talked to Mr. Reeve and he suggested we do not go forward with a payment to Whitney East, number 20. So I would ask that we omit that from the agenda this evening. Our motion. So
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to public comment. If you could please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, but provide your name and address. We appreciate it. I do want to remind everyone that there is a public hearing this evening regarding short-term rental. So if your comments are more related to the short-term rental, you can wait until then, or you certainly can speak about that at this time. There's also towards the end of the meeting, there's another public comment. Yes, sir.
Yes, Gilbert Hawkins and Judy Hawkins, 50 Drumlin View Drive in Mendon Farms. And I was going to speak on the Anvil, famous one. We moved here many years ago. There were only 7 homes when we moved in, and famous Anvil was there too. It was kind of a gathering point way back then. We had big roasts and things when they were small, and well, that's legend. But you know, one of the reasons we moved there, and 2 friends additionally actually came to the neighborhood and moved there because it was a spirited neighborly community. People knew one another, they talked to one another, they helped out one another. It was a nice, say, tightly knit little neighborhood. They were supportive, and we're maybe 70, we're 10 times bigger now. But what I see is we're still a fairly tight-knit community where people wave and talk, and if you're sick, somebody mows your yard and things like that. I'd say it's still a tightly knit community compared with many. It's not an isolated bunch of people. And support is, I think, an important thing, not only one another in this little neighborhood, 70 people, but they tend to support the broader area of Mendon. And Honeyway Falls are actually people that, while we don't celebrate the animal, they don't go to Wegmans every day. They shop locally. And it's kind of a nice feeling. I think it makes Mendon Farms an attractive place in a way, this neighborly spirit. And if you have enough attractive little neighborhoods, I think it does something to the entire bigger area of Mendon. So I like that business of the feeling that we have a neighborhood. And yes, I know we don't have to have an animal to do that, but I think it's kind of nice to have occasionally a little remembrance of our history, as opposed to just our thoughts on the present and occasionally the future. And so, when we drive in, there sits the animal, and you kind of think about it sometimes. And even when Amazon drives in, I think they have to slow down and think, good heavens, it's the neighborhood. So for those reasons, a number of us and many people have talked to me about this since we've been there so long, and they say, yes, please, we're better writers. And so you talk. But I think many people feel like it's a nice community spirit. And that's why I would personally support the animal.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. Next, we'll go to communications. Start out, Andy.
Okay, we spent a lot of time over on Parish Road, widening, improving, leveling it, getting it all squared away. There's a creek down in the bottom there that with the DEC and the soil and water, we widen that, open that up so the water can hopefully get through the pipe and eliminate some of the flooding concerns with some of the people on that road. We've also removed some dead ash trees that a few residents had concerns about that were in the right of way. And we're actually working on the Lehigh Trail, skimming all the grass out of the center they wanted to be one big trail instead of 2 footpaths. So the county contacted me on that, and we're working on that. We began work on Pittsford Mendon Center Road after the traffic control device establishment policy was signed. We were able to start the work there. We're also helping the school with their fueling system. Their fuel tanks they're having a problem with them. So they're fueling some of their smaller buses at the highway department, and we're just keeping track of it, and they'll repay us once a month. I think they should be up and going by the middle of October is what Cindy was saying. And been some washout issues up at, let me get it right, Mendon Green in the road. So I've been up there and have met with some of the people checking that out, doing some exploratory to see why and what they're going to do to fix it. They've come up with a plan, so we're going to go with that. And then we were at the Mendon Station Festival. We brought a truck, snowplow truck down there and a backhoe for the kids to climb around it and the parents to see what it's all about in a big plow truck. That's all I got.
Michelle?
Washouts. Is there more than the one that was around the catch basin?
Yeah, so yeah, they're thinking that the water, they put some stuff down in the silt fence down in the catch basins. So then we got these big rains, the water couldn't get away, got up, seemed like it went over the gutter, followed the sewer laterals and did some washing out. There was a few sinkholes at the worst one in the road. So they dug that out, wanted to see how bad it was across, and came up with, they're going to put like benches in there. So hopefully some of the water will make it to the gutters because we're only on binder now. So you're an inch below the gutter.
So they haven't topped yet.
No, but they're talking about maybe topping some of it to get the water to get into the gutters, to get into the stormwater system and do its thing instead of run down the road, fill up where it shouldn't, and then follow these freshly dug sewer laterals. It's what it seems like.
It's washed out. It's cut.
Yeah. But so hopefully they're gonna try it through benches, I guess, so that the water comes down, goes up on this bench, gets to the gutter, and then runs where it's supposed to. Because of that one section where it's like that, it all fills up there. Then they had, like I said, they had that silt fence in the
Right around.
Right, no,
Like
right in,
side,
right down in the catch basin to try and keep the mud from getting in there.
So it's,
It was restricting the flow. It was just restricting the flow to get through a 12-inch pipe. They're probably trying to get through a 1/4-inch hole and it just. So they're working on it.
How will they determine if it's okay or not without some more torrential?
Well, my only concern was the road where the 2 dips were. And I said, you do whatever you want now, but after winter, we'll know if there'll be a dip there where that pipe is. So if you want to just only dig out half of it, that's fine. If you want to dig the whole thing and redo it, it's what I would suggest, because otherwise
Sure,
if it does dip, you're going to do it twice.
absolutely.
So,
I think our bond on that's 1 year, right? Some dedication.
yeah, after 60% of the houses are built.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. We're a long way. We're a long
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We'll know if there's a problem by spring, I would imagine.
Sounds concerning.
It does, definitely.
Ongoing saga of Meadow Green.
Mhm.
Michelle?
School taxes started last week, so that's been fun. It's steady stream in there. My e-notary was accepted, so as soon as I get time, I have to go on and get the stamp that they send you. I have to get it so it looks like it's stamped and I can do it right online. That's kind of on the back burner until next month though. Don't forget the mobile mammogram unit will be at the community center on the 30th. And so if you know anybody, send them. It's free for everybody. So send everybody that, if you can.
Do you have any flyers made for that?
I do. I put them on the Facebook, the website, and there's a couple downstairs. I can give you some. I can, yeah, I think Kelly said next time she runs up to the store, her and Jenny's still hang one up there too. And yep, so we're ready to go. You have to go online and sign up or make an appointment. They will take some walk-ins if time allows. But it's easier if you just set up a time. It's 15 minutes in and out. So yeah, I know Angela took one for us and hung it up one night when she had something going on too. So jury duty, I got picked as a juror, so that's gonna be about 3 weeks. I will be hit and miss in the office, but I will be here at night making sure taxes get processed and all that fun stuff. And thank Bonnie for covering me at this busy time during the day. So
I can attest to that. She was here
Yeah.
until 9 o'clock the other night when we had our.
yeah, no, that was me. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Bonnie. Yeah. Sorry.
No,
Yes, I
you.
was. Yes.
When's
Yeah.
it start?
The jury duty
is it grand jury?
Friday.
Oh,
It started at Supreme Court.
okay.
It's about 3 weeks. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Sheldon, Nathan?
I have nothing.
Okay, Brent?
Planning board had a meeting on the 16th. We did a subdivision and site plan approval on Pittsford Mountain Road. There was a sketch plan, application. They talked about Mile Square north of Probst. Right now, I think it's 40 acres and taken off 10, and in the future, they might do a few more 5-acre lots. And they wanted to get a sense of the best way to do without landlocking with 5 acres in the future. There was a site plan on Cheese Factory that was approved, single family home, and then they reviewed a short-term rental. We should have a copy of the report tonight. September 6th, we had no meeting. In the future, we got a couple more coming up on the ones that have been kind of hanging out there. There's the subdivision over on Mile Square and Taylor Road. And then there's it's for the Mountain Center. The planning board has requested information from them, and some of the information is starting to come back in. I think the one on Mile Square and Taylor Road is going to be scheduled. If it's not the 20th, it'll be the first one in October. A lot of time down at the spray park, of course. Met John there one Saturday to something that should not have gone down. The plumbing went down the plumbing. We worked on our apprenticeship for plumbers Saturday morning. Business Association talked about there, Andy mentioned that Station Festival was this past weekend. Stopped down when I was there, saw it right there about noon. It was pretty well attended. That's, uh, my wife was pretty happy. She got some Christmas presents taken care of already, so I think it's pretty well attended. I would guess at least a couple of them. Their next meeting is September 19th, when I'm attending. Department Buildings and Grounds, Planning Department, met with supervisor, and Blaze Soccer down at Dreisbach Field. I don't plan on talking about that later. Catch up with that, Mary Johns. Also worked with somebody to mark out down at Dreisbach Fields. There is a wetland all the way to the north. Worked with somebody to mark out 105 foot from that wetland for future. Talked with Iowa Superintendent Andy, and sometimes they have a bill that you don't always know where to have a spot to put it. So we get clean, suitable fill. This way we know where it can be put, and possibly we can fill in the dry stock field some areas in the future. That's what I have.
Thank you.
We had an HPC meeting last week. That we discussed, the meeting that you and Brent had with, Jeff and Martha, to go over the map, and, they satisfied that they've got a plan ahead. Their only, question was when they can expect to hear back from the town so that we can finish this.
I thought we were waiting on them to adjust the map.
We need to work on our revisions of chapter 138 and 59, and then present it to the board. And once that's presented and we agree on that, then we can get it back to town. August went very fast.
Right. Right.
And that's where I think we met with them late July.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, we have planned on getting to that, and I apologize.
So should I say maybe next month?
Well, in order to change the law, we've got to propose a new law, have a public hearing.
I would say
So-
early November would be best
Okay.
case. Yeah, because we need to present it here. We have to present it to the board a week before we even consider it public. All right.
Mhm. We also went over the short-term lease application as well and presented our information. And then I just had one question, because originally we were asked to change our date. And then we got everybody's input. Then we were told we can't change the date without a vote from the board. Is that always been the case?
Yes, this board sets all the meeting dates for all the boards and committees at our organizational meeting in January.
Okay,
And once those are set, if they need to be changed, this board needs to change them, and there needs to be a public notice.
okay. But we were approached first by,
Yes, because
office.
it was before our August meeting, and we thought maybe if you folks want, if not you folks, excuse me, the members of the HPC wanted to change their meeting, then this board could have changed their meeting prior to the
okay,
previous meeting on August 14th. By the time the chair got back to us, the August 14th meeting had gone by.
okay. I just didn't understand kind of what had happened.
Sure.
So, okay, thank you.
Yes.
That's it.
Sandy?
With regard to the public library, they will be returning to, well, they have returned to their regular hours on Saturdays 9 to 3 as of this past Saturday, number 9. They participated in the Festival of the Falls with the Tenton Prize Wheel, and they felt they were well received. The Friends purchased new books to give to all incoming kindergarten students. Upcoming outreach activities involve going to Pinehurst in September for book talks and attending the fall, being participants in the fall parade on September 30th. Coming hosted an open house at the library on August 23rd, and they had good results with that. Also, with regard to the kids programs, the reading programs, performance presentations, and Kona ice refreshment stand was well received. Springtime for the kids will return on September 12th, tomorrow. And adult programs during the summer were well received and attended. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really sure.
It is early, I think.
Sorry, with the kids out of school.
Then on section 5 football calendar.
Okay.
So once that comes out, then they schedule all weekend around.
August 24th, the zoning board of appeals met, basically as for clarification of the code enforcement officer's ruling on Flowers by Steve. It didn't really change the outcome. It just got a little bit more specific, kind of, dotted some i's and crossed the t's. So Information board met last Tuesday. There are a couple sites that they have recommendations for, but mainly we set forth, and we have it in front of us, the ECB's ruling or recommendation on the Westminster short-term rental. By environmental standpoint, the biggest concern was basically sanitation and portable water as part of the application, so they felt everything was well taken care of. Mendon Youth Center will open October 2nd. It'll be, the hours will be Monday through Thursday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Again, we're going to go with what we did last year, so we were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, possibly 9-ish graders, temporarily. We're also going to have an open house on September 21st. I invite all the elected officials. It'll be from we decided 7:38. I think that's.
I don't recall.
I'll send you an invitation and an email. Again, what I
6:30.
6:30. I'll get you. So again, I'd like to concentrate on the 6th graders. They haven't had access to the program, so this is. But again, everyone's welcome. We've always had like maybe 7 or 8 families come to this thing, so it's nice to have people around. Also, I've reached out to middle school principal to get the youth center hours put in the morning announcements to kind of put it on their radars. We actually should. He was great in the past. I just haven't heard back, so he's been very receptive in the past. And obviously, John and I, mostly John, continues staffing. Getting staff ready for this year.
How many staff do you have?
I'm sorry.
How many staff do we have already?
Right now we have
And how many do we?
need 4. We really have. Tom and I are speaking to somebody tomorrow at 4:30.
And who's
Alyssa Coates is.
okay?
She has a different job now, so she really isn't able to work the 2 to 6 hours, but she is willing to continue to basically, do the schedule for the employees, keep track of any problems that occur, shortages and things like that. She was great at that last year. She communicated with me via email. She'd email me and say, hey, this is broken, or this, we need more of this or that. And she was a pleasure to work.
How many hours a week are you looking for the 4 people?
We said that they needed to be available at least 2 of the 4 days, so
8
even,
hours.
they didn't have to be available Monday through Thursday, but at least 2 of those days. At least starting out. I mean, if we get many people at that point, we're gonna be, maybe we'll change our qualifications, so to speak, but one lady who is, only works Mondays. She's been working there ever since we opened. And then, but she will fill in if necessary. And then the other one said she would work as much as she needed. So we still need really 2 more people to staff it properly. I know last year coming down the stretch, Tom and I filled in a little bit, and the person who is doing the cleaning down quite a bit down the stretch, but he has other responsibilities this fall, but he's not gonna have time to fill in.
One of the things that I've been talking to John about is the possibility, obviously we need an adult that will be there at all times, which, but possibly filling in that second person with, a college student would be great, but depending on where we are 2 weeks from now, talking to the high school, maybe a responsible senior going, because again, the kids are going to be out playing pool. An 18-year-old in there, helping them out and whatever, I think would be a part of that. We're taking a wait and see on that.
I know. It's out here, we have satellites of GCC and FLC.
Yeah.
LCC.
Yeah, and John suggested Elam.
That's
Yeah, because that actually had a couple of people we talked to from there. So. Yep.
Few things I have. First of all, Jim LeGret, who is the assessor for the town of Mendon, will be putting on a presentation on board meeting, which is September 25th, regarding exemptions and also regarding the equalization rate, which was at 78% is going to 68%, and that affects everyone's star and advanced star. So it's quite a complicated scenario, and I want the board to understand exactly the details. Also, I'm set up a meeting with Jim LeGret, the HFL school, and the mayor from the village of Honeyett Falls to talk about exemptions, because a lot has changed with exemptions. If we're going to make changes, if we don't make changes, the state has made changes, the counties made changes. It's very confusing for our residents, especially those who are seniors, because it's possible that somebody could get a 50% exemption on one taxing authority and a 0% on another. And I'm not saying everybody has to be the same, but I am saying that I think locally we should get together. We should talk about this and decide if we wanted to make any changes. And if we do make changes, I think it would make sense if we did it in concert as far as the various taxing authorities, because just hearing the people coming in since they got their tax bills, it's very hard, especially for some of our seniors. And I put myself in Medicare. I'm on Medicare, so I put myself in that category with trying to figure some of this out, because it is confusing. It changes from year to year. You've got some things you have to reapply every year by a certain date, and I just think it would be advantageous for us to sit down and talk about it. As Brent said, we updated our punch list for the splash park. They have been down and fixed a few things that we're thrilled about, leaking drinking fountain, things like that. It's minor things, but still. I've been talking with Johnson Controls about an update for our town hall and library regarding the fire panels and smoke detectors. The one fellow was in here, thought that the smoke detectors in this building were probably at minimum 25 years old. They seem to work, but like there again, don't want to be. I'd rather be proactive than reactive when things don't work properly. I did a webinar with the Association of Towns about budget control. Had multiple discussions with Al Reeve, our attorney for construction. Another concern is that, he's on the clock. And so, even though I'm pretty well convinced that if we hadn't engaged Al Reed, and Brent, feel free to disagree with me, but I don't think the spray park would be open right now if we hadn't engaged.
I agree.
Sales tax revenue, there was this was all over the news. There's a miscalculation on the county's part. Everybody saw a big dip in sales tax revenue for the second quarter. There's a lot of excited people because everybody's preparing their budget. It has been, problem's been fixed by the county, and we have received an extra $57,000 in sales tax revenue that we were originally due, that was miscalculated.
So we weren't one of the municipalities that is gonna lose that we were.
We actually got shorted.
Okay.
So we're back to you. Bob Franklin is, he does a great job, and, he communicated with me several times during this, and, appreciate all of his hard work. Our new vouchers this is the first month for our new vouchers, so appreciate everybody's, patience and consideration. I know it's a little bit different, but, we want to make sure we're following the letter of the law. As Brent mentioned, we met with some of the people from Blaze Soccer over at Dreisbach Fields regarding possible expansion of soccer fields. That's still in the works. And I have a meeting set up with Mike Graves, Corey Gates, and Brent Rosick later this month regarding the retaining wall and railing in front of his property in the Hamlet, which is, if you're going out to Mendon Victor Road, it's second place after you cross the bridge. And Monroe Street at Route 15A has some new signage going up regarding stop ahead that meets the current standards. Our county legislator, Rick Milne, who is also the mayor of Pontiac Falls, sent me that information from county DOT. We'll move on to number 6, which is supervisor's monthly report.
Supervisors monthly report for August.
I'll second that. Any discussion? 99% of our revenue has been received, and we've expended 56% of our expenses. So that's always a good thing. Maybe the federal government can take our lead on that. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the town clerk's monthly report.
I'll make a motion to acknowledge the receipt of the town clerk's monthly report for August 2023, showing receipts and disbursements in $13,893.18.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular town board meeting as presented for no following August 14th.
Any discussion regarding those minutes? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next are budget transfers.
Approve the following budget transfers for the 2023 budget from A 1990.470 contingent account, $10,000 to A 3310 grid traffic control, and then from DA 2302 Monroe County Summer Works 114 County Summer Work.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Vouchers?
Make a motion to approve all claims on vouchers number 23-638 to 23-704 on general abstract 23-09 in the amount of $76,687.43.
Second.
And
Yes.
Yes, one item of note, discussion, as John had mentioned, we have in here for $8,000, $8,025. Note of
So are
that.
we doing that then? Oh, LREEF.
Yeah,
not this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's.
I was
L
thinking
Reef.
of the other. Sorry.
So that's just to make note that, that was, I think it was very important having been involved to get that open for when we passed those more months, but as John said, he was on the clock.
I agree, and I'm glad we kept it open, because we had some very nice weather.
Like, wasn't it something last week?
It was like the summer we didn't have last year, right?
we have a second. Michelle. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you.
We also want to make note, library vouchers number 23, that's 121 to 23. 43 on library abstract 23-09, in the amount of $11,616.12 for the town's account.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is number 11, which is short-term rental application. This is a public hearing. I'm opening the public hearing at 7:34 p.m. We would welcome your comments about the short-term rental. Everyone has the cover sheet of the application from the town board. This is also the folder. If you want to take a look through here, you're more than welcome to. But I just want to remind you that's the main copy from downstairs. So
3
keep
minutes
it,
per person.
please keep it packed. Yes. And if you could please provide your name, address, limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. We appreciate it.
Before we get going, I just want to say, I don't have any involvement with this application, but I am working with the applicant on property directly to the east of there. So therefore, I'm going to recuse myself from this. Walk over to the courtroom, give them how I'm on the wall, and you guys are done, and I'll come back.
Thank you. So, part of the application process that was enacted with the new law was for the planning board, the environmental conservation board, the zoning board, and the historic preservation commission to meet and give us their responses. They did meet. Their responses are in the folder. Well, actually, their responses are in the folder, but they were also emailed to you with your packet last Friday. The only one that was missing was ECB because we didn't have it. We now have that. You have a hard copy of that in your papers today. There were several letters that we received, and I did email those to you, although quite frankly, I apologize that they did go out late this afternoon to you. And all those copies of all those letters are in with the application. You don't have them, Tom, but they're in that folder there. So at this point, we'd like to welcome you to please comment on this application. Angela, is there anything you'd like to say?
Questions for me?
Okay, fair enough. At this time, I will ask if there a motion to close the public hearing. Oh, wait. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Hi, I am Karen McKenna and I live 2 weeks. Here when Angela put in a request for a variance, so my comments have been put on record during that last meeting. I still stand true to the fact that we very concerned about additional noise, additional traffic, additional safety, and there's just not enough space on that road. As it is, when the weddings get going, it's very difficult to get out of driveways at times with parking opposite side of the street of myself and close proximity to where my way. And in the last few months, we have seen, I think, an increase of police calls come to the area for many different reasons. And I feel that an additional hotel of sorts across the street for 30 days is a short-term investment property for might not be the best thing for the neighborhood. It's just a personal thing for myself. But there's young children, young families now there that have moved in, and I think there's just a safety involved with that. Again, that little festival that was across the street was wonderful, but and there was no parking on the street. It was great. But when the weddings and additional tenants come into the house, I just don't see how a lot of that is going to be contained for now who reside in that area. So I'm putting in my, and I did write a letter.
Yes,
If you all have a letter. in there.
and I have a copy of it. The board has copies as
And
well.
I appreciate that. I wasn't sure if you were going to get that because that was all right.
A while ago. That's okay.
And when I spoke the last time, I had never met Angela. I haven't met her, but she was kind enough to send not one but 2 letters to let us know that she was applying for an application. So we did receive those letters, and that was because of things that kind of, I again vote. I'm not really happy with the potential that's coming
Karen, what's your last name?
with MC.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? This week,
Joseph Martin. 381 Cross River Road. I'm directly across the street. So I'm an adjacent property. I'll echo what Karen said. I think parking. Living there with the weddings and stuff, the street. The street is very full at times during the wedding. With additional 4 cars, perhaps with a rental. I will mention, the last wedding I saw there was August the 6th, I think, and there was 13 cars cheering during that. So. The other thing I just wanted to mention, just reading the law, like I had no idea it was a law passed for short-term rental. I'm interesting. Perhaps that's interesting. But nonetheless, after reading through it, the definition of mass gathering in there, and I just found that quite interesting to be honest. It's say you could have up to 24 people. They're unrelated persons. Okay, so she's having a wedding. Most of the people are related. So more than 24. Basically, but it's an interesting use of the term in the law, the way that's written. Last thing I'll bring up was 236. 6, item 4 states no short-term rental shall abut or exist within 200 feet of the property line of a currently permitted STR. So it being an adjacent property means that I can no longer do an Airbnb at my property as someone else has already filled that permit. And I understand the way that why the law is probably written that way, but I don't find it fair.
thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay. Is there a motion to close tonight's public hearing? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next, is the,
Different.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
No,
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
next is a resolution, for, consideration by the board to accept or deny the application for a short-term rental at 3880 Rush Mendon Road.
You accept or deny the application for a short term.
It's gotta be
Oh,
one of the other.
accept, okay. I make a motion to accept the application for a short term rental at 3880 Rush Mendon Road.
Any discussion?
I can just say, you know, being part of the zoning board of appeals, not being part of the board, but being liaison and environmental conservation board. I've been watching Angela as she's kind of done the hurdles. The new law requires, which I think is a good thing. There's a reason why those hurdles are there, and I mean everything's been on the up and up and straightforward from what I can see. So that's my opinion.
I would agree with you, Tom, based on what I've seen, and know of what she's done.
As a board member that is a representative on the HPC board, they were all very impressed and with all the detail that was provided.
I'll just mention that I was very involved in the new law, which was noted in the Sentinel on our website. It's legally required, and a public hearing did take place. We were all here. We heard from various residents. It was I'm going to call it an elongated multiple sessions on that. Wasn't taken lightly by this board as to enter into a new law regarding short-term rentals. We did at that time also have a separate law regarding bed and breakfast, which is completely separate issue. They have nothing to do with each other. So I feel confident that the business zone, which that's where it is, where the property is currently located, is the proper place for that type of activity. That's why we wrote the law like we wrote the law. And I had this, I know the board members know this, but public may not. I had numerous conversations with other towns who've been going through the same exercises. I've had numerous conversations with the attorneys from the Association of Towns, and as well as speaking to our residents about what fits into various parts of town and what fits into various zones. So I think we did a good job of writing the law. And I think that, as I said, I think the business and the industrial zone are the two places that it's appropriate for this type of activity. And so I would support it. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The public comment's coming up, but the public hearing is over. Next, the anvil at Mendon Farms.
Wait,
Oh, yes.
getting ready.
Next, number 12 is the anvil at Mendon Farms.
Make motion to repair the anvil at Mendon Farms by contractor not to exceed $10,000. Work performed as prescribed by the town supervisor from account number A3310.200 traffic control.
I'll second that.
So we have been trying to get estimates and have,
Just before you start, I just want to say,
go ahead.
and in the spirit of full disclosure, I just want to say that I live in the track that the anvil sits at the head of. While that may give me insights and may give me, opinions about it, I think I can be fair and impartial and vote as a member of the town board. So I do not feel the need to recuse myself.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for stepping on you there. So we try to get estimates from various people. It's not something that every contractor is qualified to do. And we're gonna do this. We want to make sure it's done properly. And looks nice when it's finished. So that's, the other thing is if we're gonna fix this, it's gotta be fixed before winter. You can't sit like tell winter. So that's why I put this in the agenda. Normally I'd say, okay, it's gonna be fixed by contractor X. Here's an estimate that person is giving us, and we're gonna pass a resolution to not to exceed from a certain account. However, I just feel time is gonna get away from us if we don't act on this. And Corey has been, he's contacted several people. I've contacted several people. I've asked for references from several people to find somebody who could do this. Most of the people who have that skill set are, we're winding down the construction season and they're busy, and they really haven't even had a chance to give us an estimate. So if the board chooses to pass this resolution, I will continue to try to find somebody to do this work and somebody who we have confidence that will be done tastefully and properly. And I just didn't want to let another 2 weeks go by without trying to get this thing solved. And if we can find somebody tomorrow who will give us an estimate and do it, we'll sign them up if that's okay for you.
How confident are we in the budgetary price of $10,000?
I asked Corey what he thought. He thought that was probably on the higher end, but he said everything's on the higher end right now. So it was a guesstimate on his part. I quite frankly have no idea.
Having looked at it, I would go with Corey's recommendation, not recommendation, but his opinion over mine.
Yeah.
I think until you really get in there, it's gonna be kind of hard, because I know at the core of that is a cinder block base that the facing is on. If the structural integrity of the cinder block base is fine, then I think it's just, I don't want to say an aesthetic job, but it's, making it look pretty.
Right.
But like I said, Corey may have a better than I do, but it kind of
That might be what the contractors would think. And that's what I'm, it might be a time and materials thing, but the way they want to come into it.
they need more stones, they can come to my yard.
I guess I'm less concerned because we have a meeting in 2 weeks. My biggest concern is we didn't have a meeting until October 18th because of Columbus Day. I'd be more concerned that, maybe 10,000 plus.
I may be back in 2 weeks saying it's not enough but let's
See, thinks it's on the high end. Okay.
I'm hoping we can make this happen. Anything else anyone wants to discuss? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is LaBelle Engineers. This is a presentation by Mike Simon. I do not see Mr. Simon here, so we'll move on and he has to be on the agenda for this evening. So next is budget presentation. So that all have a copy of the tentative budget. You all have a hard copy of the slideshow I'm about to show you.
Yep, this. Yep.
So some highlights for the 2024 tentative budget. Property tax rate is within the tax cap for Mendon residents. There's funding for our senior citizens program, allocates funding for upkeep of the military memorial and spray park, provides funding for all full services that are provided by the town, increases funding for the HFL joint summer recreation program. We had a little gimme room there in that line of the budget. We didn't have a lot. Hopefully more children sign up for that program. Provides for highway equipment purchases, provides expansion for dry spec playing fields, which is soccer fields that we talked about earlier, and provides for ambulance service and sidewalk expansion, which we've been talking about for several months here at the town board level as to doing that connecting down Bend and Victor, down Miles Square, up Taylor Road Extension, and down 64. ARPA funding. So we received $658,357.02 in ARPA funding. To this date, we have earmarked $383,000 for the Splash Park and Military Memorial. We budget is approved. It would be $200,000 for the sidewalks and what I just described to you. The soccer fields, $5,000. An entrance to the Legion, which we had talked about at a previous meeting, being a worthy cause for that funding, and drainage at Dry Spec, which is basically some drainage for the soccer fields and drainage for the spray park, which Brent and I have been talking about for some time. These are the tentative tax rates: $2.45 town outside the village and $1.55 town inside the village. The reason there's a variance there, just for anybody who's here, as well as the board, is that there's certain services that we the town do not provide to village residents. That's why the village provides them, and that's why they pay village taxes, and town outside the village residents do not pay village taxes. This is a review of town outside the village tax rates. As you can see, I'm proposing a 6 cents per thousand rate increase, which is the first rate increase we've had in 11 years. We've had decreases, but we haven't had an increase in the rate in 11 years. For the village, it's bounced around a little bit, but it is a 5 cent increase from last year, still down from previous years in 2021 and previous. The village tax rate is $2.65 a thousand. The school tax rate is $26.05. When people call up and they say, "Hey, how do I figure out how much your taxes are?" I always tell them, figure $40 a thousand. 26 of that is going to go to the school. Then you've got approximately between 9 and 10 going to the county. And then you've got, if you're in the village, you got a tax rate. If you're in the fire district, you got a rate. If you're in a lighting district, if you're in a water district, there's lots of variables. But $40 is pretty close to being an average. Here's a couple of pie charts with the tax rates shown. As I said, that omitted fire, water, lighting, those types of special districts from the pie charts. So this is a town outside the village assessed for 200,000. And I emphasize assessed because we all know what houses are selling for right now as compared to the assessed value. Not even close. For a $200,000 assessed home, they would pay $489.54, which is a 2.3% tax increase. Again, it is within property tax cap. This property tax cap is not 2%, even though that's what you're reading the headlines. For a town inside the village, pays $309.40 for a $200,000 assessed home, which is 2.9% tax increase. Why did my taxes go up? You know, when I had that thing in the Sentinel a while back, and I said the top 10 questions asked at town hall, this is going to be the top one in 2024 in this budget. The amount to be raised, which is the levy, is increased by $77,577. We almost have $1 billion of assessed value in the town. That's taxable assessed value, by the way. Doesn't include churches, schools, things like that. So our ambulance contract with the village of Honey Falls alone is going up $41,000. Employee health insurance 15% increase, another $30,000. Brush pickup, we budgeted for another $10,000 because quite frankly, it's one of the most popular things we offer in the town of Mendon that people really appreciate it. And we've had a lot of brush out lately. So the tax rate for town outside the village has been flat or reduced, as I said, for 11 straight years. I think, and this is my personal opinion, not the board's opinion, but I think if you're going to tell people you're going to raise taxes, you better give them a good reason. You shouldn't just raise taxes because you can. This is some revenue that we get for sales tax and mortgage tax. This is sales tax revenue. The A is for actual, B is for budgeted. Obviously, we're not through 2023. I can only show you what we have here. So we have seen a dramatic increase in sales tax revenue lately. I am cautious, however, because if you pay attention to the news and you're paying attention to what's going on in the country today, people are concerned about a recession. So I feel like our budgeting is conservative for sales tax revenue. Mortgage tax revenue, there again, we have seen that's been fairly flat lately, but as we all know, when you see a for sale sign go up in the town of Mendon, it's not if it's going to sell, it's how fast it's going to sell. Usually there's offers due in 3 days, and then the seller decides what the offer should be, which is usually at least $100,000 over assessed value. Of our expenditures for 2024, Military Memorial provides maintenance and upkeep for the Military Memorial and Splash Park, provides funding for the community center, as I said, having an entrance for the Legionnaires who occupy the basement. Increases library funding by $11,600, which is a 3% increase. And Dreisbach Fields, $20,000 for field improvements, which is drainage, an additional field, that type of thing. Community celebrations, continued support for Veterans Day lunch and community concert. What I know there's a community concert that we have in conjunction with the Honey Falls Community Band that we sponsor every year for 2 of those. I also was thinking that possibly the board would want to include some type of a concert when there's some type of a community event in the hand that's centralized to the hamlet. Nothing against the Fireman's Carnival, but maybe another event that's in the hamlet that maybe the town could provide some funding for a music venue, something which I heard, unfortunately wasn't there, but I heard was very nice. But maybe something that could draw people into the town of Mendon, into the hamlet and go, wow, this is a nice place. They got a restaurant there, they got a grocery store there, etc. Brings people into the community and generates some income for our businesses. The 2024 provides funding for vital quality of life, 2 brush pickups. If you go back to 2000, I think it's 9, when the previous town supervisor and town board reduced one of the brush pickups. I know that was one of the major things I heard for a while, several years. Increased funding for the Senior Citizens Program. I talked to the village. We jointly fund the senior citizens. It's a great organization. I'm actually speaking at their lunch tomorrow. ARPA funding for the community center, playground, sidewalks, and playing fields. Playground on Summel Road. The mulch. We've had a terrible time the last 2 years keeping the weeds out, the bees out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to see us remove that mulch and replace it with some of this ground up rubber tire stuff. It's expensive, but I really think our residents would appreciate it because I know we get a lot of complaints about it, the weeds right now. And of course, we can't spray it. It's something toxic. Provides funding for our Veterans Day lunch, which is one of the more popular things we've done in recent years for our local veterans and families. As I mentioned, it increases funding for the library and provides funding for highway equipment replacement utilizing reserve funds. If you look at the tentative budget, you're going to see a number taken from reserves. That's because this board, in my opinion, has done extraordinary job setting money aside for reserves. So when the highway superintendent comes to us and says, I'd like to buy 2 new trucks, this year because number one, the whole replacement schedule got thrown out of whack with COVID because you couldn't get anything. And number two, because the cost of repairing some of our older trucks is getting more and more. We've got those reserve funds that can jump in there and not have an undue burden on our taxpayers. And I think it's important that we continue to utilize those reserve funds when possible. So in summary, we're talking about a 2.3% town outside the village, which is for a house that's assessed at $200,000 is under $10 on their total tax. Obviously, if your house is assessed for $1 million, it's going to be 5 times that amount. Inside the village, 2.9%, maintains our support for our seniors, improves our quality of life, splash park, pavilion, the restrooms at Semmel Road, and the youth center funding. We talked about that already. The youth center, I think, has been a positive thing that the town has done for the children of our community, especially that middle school group that kind of gets lost. I had kids in middle school at one point. They kind of get lost. They're not teenagers. They're not little kids. They needed a place where they could go after school and just hang out and enjoy themselves. And sidewalk, as I mentioned, this would increase the accessibility to our businesses in the hamlet and increases the walkability of the area around the hamlet. I think we're not going to be able to do that whole thing in 1 year, but we got to bite off what we can afford this year and take it in sections over the next few years. And that concludes it. Thank you.
Okay, John.
So I would ask that each one of the town board members set aside some time, let me know what's convenient for you over the next 2 weeks. Certainly look over the tentative budget, make notes, and I'd be more than happy to sit down with you. For anybody in the audience who's unfamiliar with this procedure, the tentative budget is prepared by myself. Now it's the town board's budget. So, and with any 3 votes, they can change. They can decide to build a spaceship to go to the moon if they want to. But at this point, any changes require 3 votes. Once that is determined, there will be a public hearing scheduled, which may happen at our next meeting. We may schedule a public hearing, which would be most likely October 16th. At that point, we'd hear from residents on what is known as a preliminary budget at that point, and then it could become the final budget with 3 affirmative votes. So we'll move on to authorized payment to Western New York Sealers.
I make a motion to authorize payment not to exceed $4,198 from account A1620.412 for Sealing Striker Community Center, not to exceed $404,198 from account A162.
Same amount.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. So 4,198 from Brand, Seal and Strike the Library here.
This is a different account. One's for.
Okay. Same price for both?
Yes.
Wow, okay. That's why I was confused.
That's
Okay.
right.
So one is for the community center and the other one is for the.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Work was completed over Labor Day weekend. There were no hiccups. I think they did a good job. Everybody seems happy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. New number 16, which is the library stone veneer repair. You have a new separate piece of paper on that regarding the repair work.
I'll make a motion to contract with Arthur Valletta for repairing stone that's come off the wall at the library. Price not to exceed $1,900. Is this the correct budget line? A1620.411.
Yes.
Okay.
Any discussion? So there's when they built the library, they put this, the architect put what they called a sign wall out there. And the sign was on there that said Mendon Public Library. However, with the contour of the land there, if you were in your car, it was about equal to ground level. It's extremely hard to see. And if there were cars parked in Critics parking lot, it was almost impossible to see. So we moved the sign over the windows. That was one of the first things we did. But this sign wall, a bunch of the stones fell off last year. We've really struggled. And when our maintenance guy had to remove all the mortar from the back of the stones, some of them didn't make it. So he had to go to I don't know what's it called, stone dealer, whatever it is, landscape place where they actually sold these things. He said they had what they called the boneyard, and he was able to match those stones up with the ones that broke during the removal. And so he was more comfortable having somebody like this do it than do it himself. He was willing to try it, but he also said, he didn't have a lot of experience with this, and they'd already fallen off once. So hopefully this will take care of it. Now, the stones that are on the building itself, when that building was built, the gentleman who attached those stones to the building devised a clip system because he was concerned that this very thing was going to happen, and he didn't want them falling out and hit somebody walking by. So he just had a clip system. So I'm not too worried about it falling off the library building. It's this sign wall that is the concern. I don't think they obviously didn't have the clips installed. It's only about.
And they wouldn't give you an info.
Pardon?
That's what I'm saying.
We're working.
We'll give them bad directions. and they can-
We're working. Yeah, there was a little miscommunication on this, but I will make sure we get working on this guy. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next is Tracy Road Repair.
Make a motion to expend $3,100 for cooler trans water for truck number 96. It's an auxiliary transmission cooler from account number DA 5130.4.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, what's an ox?
Yeah, really.
Auxiliary transmission.
Transmission.
All I can tell you is you got the estimate in front of you. Well, I know.
It doesn't.
It won't run without. Art said it won't run without. Anything else? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next is reconciliation of the 284 agreement for 2023.
Conciliation of the 284 agreement between the Martin Town Board and Highway Superintendent as a highway superintendent's compilation of material and labor.
I'll second that. So, a couple of things. This is an agreement that between the town board and the highway superintendent. I'm a little confused because Fontainebleau, the agreement calls for stone and oil at a sum of $15,181.50, and the amount is $2,552.82. The rest of them are pretty close. And then with letters F and G, we don't have any kind of reconciliation for those two, which is parish and assembly. So I would ask maybe we table this issue until we have the rest of the documentation.
Agreed.
Make a motion to table.
Need a motion to table.
I'd like to make a motion to table. Table this reconciliation.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is traffic control device abolishment, establishment, revised.
I'd like to make a motion pursuant to authority granted by sections 1651 and 52A of New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law. Abolishment stop northbound Pittsburgh Mountain Center Road at Buzzsaw Mill Road. And a stop northbound Buzzsaw Mill Road at Pittsburgh Mountain Center Road.
So if you remember, right, we did this last month. And
Who's second? Thank you.
Right, thank you. We did this last month. I made an error, when I thought they were both establishments. One is an abolishment, and the other one was an establishment, so I take full responsibility for the fact that it was written wrong in the resolution last month. So, I would ask the board if they would please consider this revised resolution. Any other discussion? Had a lot of phone calls about this lately. I'm not too happy, but no one likes you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Again, I apologize for that was on me. Next is splash pay payment, which we omitted from it. Next is executive session. So for folks who are in the audience, you are welcome to exit on the hallway and then you can come back in after executive session, or obviously you can leave. It's up to you. So we're just going into executive session.
I'm going to.
We need a motion, right, Joe?
Yes. Oh,
There's a second. Okay.
who got the second this time?
I'm taking it.
You close those anyway up, Michelle. I can show you.
Oh.
All righty, keep going.
Aaron Rodgers is out of the game. The Bills are doing well. So I have it.
Bills.
Yeah, ready?
What about the Yankees? Who cares about the Bills?
Sorry.
Actually, what you're doing, you're.
I figured, Brent, I figured.
You good, Michelle? You good? Okay. Back to public comment. Anyone would like to comment? 3 minutes or less, name, address? Seeing none. Dan?
Might as well. So you just had executive session and now we're comment, just a thought in the future, if you swap those two items on the agenda. If there was a crowd that wanted to comment, they wouldn't have to wait or not, the comment leave. And if the only thing after executive session is. There you go. Doesn't make a difference for you because you're here either way. Hypothetical crowd.
The only problem with that, Danny, would be is if as a result of the executive session, you back in the public and you take some action.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I knew there was a reason why we did it that way, but I didn't have good, I didn't have.
That's the attorney answer.
Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.